Basically, not everything gets watered. So with the wind, certain trees and bits and pieces, particularly with leaves still on, will dry out a lot quicker. So even though it's been raining, certain plants still need a bit of water, particularly those that have still got green leaves on. Always important to check first, because I know some of these bigger pots are very wet now and don't need any more water. But some of the ones that are still in leaf and the leaves still haven't turned will still need a little bit of extra water, particularly with the wind, particularly with evergreens. In amongst all this growth, which is just about finished flowering now, two things that in your garden you may well have, and it's an ideal time to cut them back now, would be Virginia creeper, which with us is just about starting to drop its leaves now. It's beautiful, beautiful autumn colour, but with the wind and the rain now, it's also the time to be cutting it back and giving it a trim. So, one to cut. It's actually here grown up through a lovely golden flowering Potentilla. Again, the Potentilla's finished flowering, so there's two things. One is the Virginia creeper we're going to be cutting back, but we're also then going to be giving a trim and a shape to the Potentilla inside it, which is a lovely shrub, small green leaves and bright yellow flowers. Because the shrub has put so much growth on this year, it all needs cutting back just to keep it back to size. We always want to leave a little bit of green growth if we can down towards the base, but I am cutting just above a bud and taking back some of this top growth, whippy top growth that otherwise in the wind basically is likely to pull itself open and outgrow the space that we've allocated for it. We're just giving it a haircut, not cutting too hard back into the old wood, always just above a bud. But again, the autumn is a really good time for shaping it up, and it will encourage lots and lots of fresh new growth to come in the spring, which will then form flowers next summer. Full sun to semi-shade. It's a lovely shrub growing to about 3 to 4 foot when it's kept into shape. There are smaller varieties available as well, which only grow to approximately 2 to 3 foot. But this one, because it's been in flower for so long, I kept putting off pruning, and now is the time really for getting in and giving it a shape. Quite a few nettles in there as well, which I'll now take out. We always leave some on the site for the insects and for the butterflies. But now I've cut that back, you can start to see the nettles underneath, which will be coming out. So there's quite a few stinging nettles here that will be now taking out at the same time. You can see the Virginia creeper and how it's spread. So basically where it touches the ground, it can root. So it's one that if you don't control it, it can run rampant in a garden. So if you look here, you can see where that's touched the ground and it's been moist, it's sent out new roots. So we could actually pot that to make a new plant. So that is basically, as it grows, the stem lies on the ground, then the new roots are forming, and that, if that was potted on, that would then make a new plant. It would take a few years for it to establish, but eventually that would grow on to make a new Virginia creeper plant. Obviously this is the Potentilla that I'm cutting back now, but just behind it you've got some fantastic stem colour. This is Siberian Dogwood, or Cornus Sibirica. It has fantastic, stunning, deep, violety gold, darkening leaves in the autumn. And then over the winter, these bright stems would start to shine and offer stunning contrast and colour against the rest of the garden when everything else is bare and stark. These bright red stems will work really nicely. Again, in the garden, this is something that we've been cutting back over the last few weeks for clients, because Virginia creeper, quite often when it's grown up a wall, will scramble over gutters and up on top of houses. Looks fantastic when it's in colour, but to keep it to size and shape, it does need to be maintained, otherwise it would just continue to spread and spread. The winter stem dogwood, we won't cut this back till probably the end of March, and we'll enjoy these red stems over the winter. And at the moment, if you look up towards the sky through the dogwood, you've got those lovely plummy gold orange colours all coming through. All of the cuttings that I'm taking off now will go on the compost heap. We compost them down and then use that compost, which we mix with topsoil and grit, as part of our potting mix for growing on with the trees. So now we've taken that back and given that a bit of a haircut. Next spring it will spring back into life and have lovely fresh leaves, and then from midsummer it will start with little tiny cut flowers, which are fantastic for the butterflies. Red oak, which is this lovely tree line that we're looking at just here, absolutely stunning this time of year. In the summer it's got lovely great big shaped leaves, so big green leaves, but you can see all the tannins are starting to turn. A week ago this will have been bright scarlet red. Now we've moved on and you can see it's starting to turn to a russet brown, and you can see the different stages and different colours. Every tree, subject to the amount of light and rain it gets, will colour in slightly different ways in the autumn, so, and at different stages. So if you look along the line here, I can pull out one that's been a little bit more sheltered, that's still bright scarlet and red, and the leaves at the base of this one are still bright green. But obviously the taller growth that's caught the wind more has already started to turn much more papery in colour. It is a big tree, but you can control it and keep it to maybe 20 or 30 foot in height. But I would recommend that it's planted at least probably 8 to 10 metres away from a house, because it can get quite big. While we're walking past, another one for this time of year, particularly with the wind, this is copper beech hedging. If you're looking for a hedge, one option would then be instant hedging. So for example, these are young plants which we've grown in a 1 metre trough, and pretty much instantly would create a hedge going straight into your garden. Another plant that quite commonly you might well find in your garden is Buddleja davidii. Looks stunning. It's one of the best plants going for encouraging bees and butterflies in your garden. But for us, it's very important that this time of year, two things really. We don't want to leave the seed heads on because it will seed itself around quite freely. So we want to take off all the flowered shoots. We also don't want to leave it too long, because the wind quite often can catch it in a storm and cause it to split open. Basically, we want to shorten this back. When you're cutting back Buddleja, always make sure you're leaving some shoots below where you're cutting to. And this time of year, I'm doing what's called a shortcut. So I'm not taking it all the way down. In the spring, we could come down probably and take it back down further in the growth and cut it down to maybe 2 to 3 foot in height in the spring. This time of year, we probably wouldn't take it back more than 4 or 5 foot with us. But the important thing really is to take off all the flowered shoots to stop it seeding itself around the garden, because they do seed prolifically. But we always tend to have a Buddleja in a border somewhere because it's so good for bees and butterflies. So all of these were flower panicles. All of these were absolutely smothered in bees and butterflies not so long ago in some of the earlier videos. Now it's finished. Basically, before these seeds ripen, I want to get this cut back. So basically I'm going to be quite hard with some of them, and I'm coming back to about 4'6", 5 foot in height, following back the stem on that particular shoot. I'm taking it back to just above a bud, slightly angled cut. Again, just above a bud, similar height. And a slight angle to the cut. Buddleja is a great one to practice your pruning skills with, because at the end of the day, there's a very good chance, even if you make a mistake and get it wrong, it will bounce back anyway. But this time of year, we're just trying to take it back to a framework. Again, not cutting it back too hard, but not leaving up this top growth, which would be prone to being caught by the storm and the wind. And also, I want to stop these seeds from dropping and producing hundreds and hundreds of new plants everywhere. I'm just going to carry on and just quickly get this finished, and I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. With that one, you can also see our friendly Virginia creeper had been making the most of it as well. So, which looks stunning, and it hadn't been cut back for that reason. But now, while these are still green, we want to get them cut and removed before they mature. So, but Buddleja is quite a popular shrub, sold in lots of different forms in nurseries and garden centres up and down the country. There are dwarf forms of the same plant as well, that only grow to about 3 foot, but they're not quite as tough and hardy as the straight davidii. Any dead or damaged stems can be removed at any time of year, and that's a lot more manageable now for the winter.